former Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, is the latest to drift into the controversy over Ghana's interoperability system. Now, the controversy has been ignited after Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia launched the first phase of the system as executed by the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems GIPS, a subsidiary of the Bank of Ghana. The Vice President said it cost the nation $4 million as against the $4.6 billion contract awarded under the Mahama administration to Sipton Switch Company Limited. Now, that cost involved is what has ignited the controversy, which began last year. First, a former Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Abdul Nasiru Isahaku, rejected claims by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that the Bank of Ghana, under his leadership, planned to commit $4.6 billion of public funds, because he says the $4.6 billion in question was to be raised by Sipton Switch using a self-financing mechanism and not of public funds, as government committed just about $300,000 to administrative work. I'm going to go through for you the statement that was sent purportedly from the former Bank of Ghana boss, and I'm gonna quickly run through what I have here. So let's go to the second point, where he said Sipton Switch was selected through due process to execute the contract using a self-financing mechanism to raise $4.6 billion on their own, which I just said, and they're doing so to build a robust interface intended to ensure efficiency and safety. He says neither government nor Bank of Ghana was going to pay the purported $4.6 billion. And he goes on to say that for emphasis, the amount was actually the estimated projection for the cash flow of investment to interconnect electronic payments and transfers over a period. Moving on, he says that for emphasis, Bank of Ghana did not engage Sipton Switch to provide only an interoperable platform costing the said amount. The Sipton Switch solution was a lot broader in scope than the simple interoperability among telcos that was launched by the Vice President. Well, let's move on to the next point that the statement makes. It says that the bid submitted by Sipton Switch was assessed in line with due process to be the most responsive, and hence the company was awarded the contract. There were no infractions in the tender process nor any laws violated. Indeed, an investigation by the Economic and Organized Crime Office (EOCO) in 2017 did not find any infractions with the procurement process. It still has some points that are made further. If at all, the statement says it is the current government that has actually spent $4 million to build a sample system that is far less in scope than what was intended to be built by a private sector operator. Now, you need to note this carefully. It says that if at all, the current government that has actually spent $4 million to build a simple system that is far less in scope than what was intended to be built by a private sector operator, certainly the amount of $4 million could not have been financed by the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System GIPS, because this subsidiary of Bank of Ghana did not have the financial resources. So basically GIPS, everybody said that GIPS could have done the job that was being given to Sipton Switch. Now, the point that this statement is making is that even though GIPS, which is a subsidiary of the Bank of Ghana, did the work, they spent $4 million. As a matter of fact, what this statement again is saying is that if Sipton Switch had done the job, which was for $4.6 billion, it would still have raised the money, which means that the public funds or the taxes that you and I pay will not be what would have been used to fix this system. But then people have also argued that even though we may not be paying upfront, the burden will still come back to the Ghanaian consumer, who would then have to pay. Well, the former governor has denied issuing this statement, and that statement that I just read to you has been denied as coming from the former governor. But this afternoon, a former deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana has been speaking. Dr. Johnson Esiama is actually raising doubts over the scope, just like the statement that I just read to seems to be doing. It appears that they're really on the scope of the contract, or they're really on the scope of the system as what has been launched by the Vice President. We can hear the former Deputy Governor, Dr. Johnson Esiama.
All that we were interested in there was that whatever system you build, even if it costs you so much, the charges that consumers will pay shouldn't be more than they are paying currently. Remember, currently, if you send 100 cedis, how much do they deduct? 1 cedi. Is it 1 cedi or 10 cedis? 1 cedi. And so our concern was that by the time you finished your installations and everything, they should be paying less than 1 cedi. So the cost should actually go down. You understand me? And I think that is the more important thing to you, isn't it? If they claim they are using 10 billion, and you are sure that whatever it is, if I'm sending money tomorrow, 100 cedis, they'll deduct 50p, you know, or even if it will be a little bit more, 1.1, 1 cedi, 10p or something. And yet, I can now send across, even from bank to mobile accounts, etc. I think from the perspective of the consumer, that is what matters. Then you want to be sure that in 15 years' time, the equipment and everything reverts to the Bank of Ghana or whoever. I think that is what is important. So in sum, what I'm saying is, it's inappropriate to compare, you know, an antelope and what? An elephant. Why? Because the characteristics are different. It's not that simplistic to just say, oh, I'm spending this on A, you would have spent this on this, and therefore so and so forth. I haven't listened to the claim that the Vice President said anything. I have to watch it myself to really be sure of what he said. But even if he said anything, my appeal is that leave it as it is. This is about the central bank. Rest assured that the right thing was done during the procurement phase of that project. If there was any issue at all, when the new administration came in, all that you had to do was to play ball. All that you had to do is to sit down with the other party and express your concerns to try and reach some solution. If I remember, we attempted something initially. I actually attempted something initially. I asked my staff, the technical staff that were working on it, I asked them to contact SIPTON, look at it again, let's see how best, whether there was any room for some little changes, etc. And they actually started work on that. But immediately, we got the orders to stop work. So for me, that was it. The central bank could deal with whatever issue within its domain. And we should avoid this trap of everything descending into the arena of politics, etc. I hope I...
Dr. Johnson Esiama is the former Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana. So basically, this new platform launched by the Vice President should allow people move money around in their account on mobile money platforms and across networks, which is why it is a matter of public interest. Well, let's go on the phone lines and speak to Carl Ashi. He's with the Department of Mobile Financial Services at Vodafone. Carl, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and I'm wondering, how can you break this down so that people understand, people who move their money through mobile money platforms will understand the effects or whatever effect it may have on their transactions?
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon to your listeners. I think just to break this down, this just gives people the opportunity to send money from their wallet to another network, and it gives them the opportunity to send it directly into their wallet. So previously we had a service where people could send money, but they would receive maybe a token or a code on the other end. But what the system does is that it gives you the opportunity to send directly into the other person's wallet. So I think this just gives a brief description as to what has been.
I believe that you, for example, I mean, you work with a telco. I believe that your organization and like other organizations have been engaged in this discussion.
Which discussion are you referring to?
The discussion to create an interoperable system.
I think when you look at mobile money, one thing that you always want to do is to make sure you eliminate the barriers that exist when you are comparing this electronic money to physical cash. Okay, so when Carl wants to pay money to somebody, I shouldn't say because I'm on this network or that network, you can only pay me using that. That defeats the purpose of going digital with money. And I think it's very important that we state that the enemy here is cash. It's not maybe MTN or Tigo or Airtel. No, the enemy here is cash. And so what we've always been thinking about is how do we improve the experience of our customers and of people who want to use mobile money or digital services. So yes, there are discussions that have been had. Our brothers in Kenya went interoperable, and I mean it's actually a step in the right direction. Kenya went just a month before we did. So
okay.
It's obviously a discussion to be had.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're told the Vice President has launched this system. We're told that is the first phase of the system. There have been some controversies, and I don't by any means want to drag you into this conversation, which is actually getting political. But I just heard from the former Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana saying that they wanted a system that will cost the consumer less. So at the moment, if you paid or if you transferred 100 cedis, for example, on the same platform, on the same mobile money platform or the same network, you pay 1 cedi. Is there the possibility that consumers or customers who use the service will pay lesser than or less than 1 cedi with this system?
Okay, so I think you are right that you put in a caveat at the beginning. I think we would not want to be dragged into a discussion like that. But I think the whole idea is to make, like I said, to make mobile money or electronic cash mimic physical cash. So we obviously want to make transactions cheaper. We obviously want to work together.
Will a system like this make this system? Will a system like this make transactions any cheaper?
I think it just depends on every telco's commercial model and how they want to drive this. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. Because we have gaps that are facilitating and all that. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. But obviously, if that would bring the numbers and if more people would patronize it because it's not interoperable, then it can drive the discussion in that direction.
Okay. Pusi, a very big thanks to you for your time this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Carl Ashi is with the Mobile Financial Services Department of Vodafone, helping us with a bit of perspective on this interoperability. Such a big word, actually a mouthful. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and